Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, Black Mirror Labyrinth will not be returning to Thorpe Park's attraction lineup for the 2024 season. And this came as quite a surprise actually, we didn't see this coming, but I don't really think a lot of people were really upset about that, to be honest. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Black Mirror Labyrinth, it was a walkthrough attraction that first opened at Thorpe Park in May 2021. It is a partnership between Thorpe Park and the Netflix series Black Mirror, which obviously is named after that show. And it had like a lot of marketing hype around it prior to its opening. It was originally supposed to open in 2020, but obviously because of COVID, it got delayed by a year, so it didn't open until May 2021. And obviously it was originally good. We knew it weren't going to be anything big when it was open anyway. We knew it was going to be a walk-through attraction with like some mirror maze effects in there. But obviously Thorpe Park were hyping it up quite a lot prior to its opening. And obviously when it did open, it received quite mixed receptions. Some people thought it was good. Other people really just didn't like it, hated it. When I did it, I first did it I think about 10 days after it first opened when we visited in May of 2021. I thought it was okay. It weren't my favourite attraction at Thorpe Park. It could have been better, definitely. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was probably the best mirror maze I did, but that's not really saying that much because I've only ever done like 2 or 3 mirror mazes in my whole life. And this was the best one I did by default because the other 2 mirror mazes I've done are just bog standard mirror mazes. This one had a little bit more to it, but even still it weren't really that good. Obviously it's never going to be like on the scale of something like a flat ride, a dark ride or a roller coaster. So it weren't really exactly the most popular attraction. Now obviously they didn't make any announcement at the end of last season about Black Mirror Labyrinth, whether it was going to be closing or not. They only just recently, like literally yesterday, they only just recently confirmed it's closed forever in a FAQ post on social media saying that Black Mirror Labyrinth has closed at the end of the 2023 season because they reached the end of the contract agreement with the show's creators. This came as quite a surprise because they hadn't made a formal announcement about it at the end of the season. They stated that they weren't in a position to actually announce the attraction's closure at the end of last season. Obviously, not really a lot of people who are upset about it. There are actually quite a few people who are really happy about it closing. But either way, it was okay. It weren't that good. But hopefully in the future they can replace that and get rid of Slammer, which has just been standing there for ages, and hopefully replace that with a decent attraction in the near future. In other news today, and this is some like really sad news, and I mean proper sad news, not something like an unpopular mirror maze closing. This is actually really sad news, genuinely. A large fire has broken out at the brand new Oceana theme park. Is that how I pronounce it? Oceana Water Park, which was scheduled to open at Liseberg later this year. And this is honestly just absolutely devastating. Like this news that's come out that like all this millions of literally they spent millions on this new water park, and it's all gone up in a huge fire broken out. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically, Oceana, I'm going to pronounce it like that now, Oceana, until I'm later corrected, is a water park that was scheduled to open as part of the Liseberg theme park and resort later this year. Obviously, it was still under construction. It wasn't open, but it was still being built at the time that this fire happened. It was earlier this week, I believe it was Monday, that it took place. And obviously it was supposed to open later this year. They were building it, everything was going along well, and then around 2:30 in the morning, there were reports of loud banging noises from locals being heard from the site, and then it just later found out that a huge fire had broken out on the site, and it's absolutely devastating. Obviously, it means that a lot of damage has been done. They've managed to put out the fire, thankfully, and because it was a construction site, it was like very early in the morning. Nobody was hurt, at least I don't think anyway. Everyone was fine. At least there weren't any casualties or anything. Obviously, they managed to put out the fire, and now they're launching an investigation as to what caused it. That's really devastating as well because they'd been building this brand new water park. They'd announced it quite a while ago, and now that obviously it's been damaged like that in such a big way, it's going to be delayed quite significantly, probably till next year. But obviously, this is all be for safety reasons and obviously to repair it and everything. So obviously, safety is the number one priority when in these theme parks and attractions. They always put safety before the actual experience of the attractions itself, if you know what I mean. So obviously, it is sad that it has happened, this fire, and that the opening of the new water park's getting delayed. But obviously, they delayed it for safety reasons so they can resolve the issue with the fire and repair any damages and investigate what caused it. So while obviously it is sad that this fire has happened, I hope that Liseberg can recover from this absolute devastation and hope that Oceana opens at some point in the near future. Also in the news today, and we've actually got some good news now, Catapult Falls at SeaWorld San Antonio is officially opening on the 2nd of March 2024. And this ride, I am so glad it's finally opening because this just looks like it's going to change how log flumes are built forever. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Catapult Falls is a brand new Intamin launched log flume. Yes, you heard that right, a launched log flume that was originally scheduled to open at SeaWorld San Antonio in 2023. However, it got delayed by a year. And I don't think it will be because of COVID, because literally it was 2022 that the whole pandemic thing sort of quieted down and ended. So it won't have been because of COVID, I don't think anyway. But either way, it still got delayed by a year until 2024. But since then, the riders, obviously they've sort of mostly finished it, and now they've confirmed it's going to be opening on the 2nd of March 2024. This is absolutely brilliant news for SeaWorld San Antonio, and obviously for Intamin as well, because this is their first launched log flume that they've ever built. Obviously, it's going to be a really innovative attraction. The strange thing is, it's got also not only got a launch, but it's also got a elevator lift, which will take you to the maximum height of 55 feet. So obviously, it does look like it's going to be a really fun attraction. It really does. And obviously it looks very innovative as well because we've never had a launch on a log flume like this. I don't think we've had any form of a launch on any form of water rides that I know of anyway. I could be wrong, but never on like a sort of log flume attraction. Obviously we know like more traditional log flumes, things like the flume which used to operate on towers or Loggers Leap at Thorpe Park. Obviously those are the old sort of log flume that are more traditional type from classic amusement park days of like the 70s, 60s and 50s. But they've not seemed to have built as many of them, if any, in sort of the last few years. But now Intamin are sort of reviving the ride type in a brand new way with the launched log flume, which honestly looks really cool and such a thrilling type of attraction. And I believe they also stated that the launch is going to accelerate the boat at around 7 feet per second, which, think about 9 miles per hour, that's pretty fast. I don't know. But obviously it does look very innovative, and I'm looking forward to see what it actually leads to the launch log flume type with Intamin if this ride is successful, which it looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's probably going to be a really successful attraction. And either way, I cannot wait for Catapult Falls to open at SeaWorld San Antonio on the 2nd of March 2024. And finally in the news today, Paultons Park have announced that they are opening their first ever dark ride very soon. And this is going to be absolutely amazing for Paultons Park. It's going to sort of complete the lineup of attractions. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically Paultons Park is a theme park located in Hampshire, England. It's down south, literally like the very down south, like south end of England. It's home to many different family rides and attractions. It's home to the famous Peppa Pig World, but it's also home to other different attractions like Storm Chaser, things like Cyclonator, and obviously other different types of attractions such as Land of Lost Kingdom, I think it's called, with Velociraptor and Flight of the Pterodactyl. Obviously it is a family theme park, but they've got really well done family rides and family attractions. It's also very themed as well. And it's very well maintained as well, very looked after from what I've heard. I've never been to Paultons Park, but apparently it's a really fun day out. Obviously they've got a lot of different attractions. They've got roller coasters, flat rides, they've got water rides. They're opening a brand new water ride this year, actually, Splash Lagoon, which is a part of the expansion to the Lost Kingdom area. But one thing they've never really had is a proper dark ride. And it seems that they are actually building a brand new dark ride for next year, I think. It's going to be opening, it's going to be replacing the old 4D cinema. It's actually it's going to be built in the old building for the 4D cinema. And we don't know much about it. It's going to have sort of like a paranormal sort of ghosts, like hunting type theme. And it can, from what we can tell, like they haven't really started proper marketing with it. There's a few fences outside the construction hinting at what it's going to be themed to. And from what the hints tell us, it's going to be like a shooting dark ride. So imagine things like Tomb Blaster at Chessington World of Adventures, or the previous iteration of Cursed Alton Manor when it was known as Duel, when that had laser guns. Personally, I don't know how. I hope they might really do it right, because obviously, shooting dark rides are fun for like the interactive element of it. But I've seen with obviously things like Tomb Blaster at Chessington, or when Duel was at Alton Towers before that changed to Cursed Alton Manor, it's not really, like, they're not really that great in terms of like immersion, like an immersive experience. However, obviously this is like a brand new dark ride being built from the ground up. So obviously if Paultons Park can handle it well and actually do it right, like theme it properly and not take away the immersion just for the interactive like shooting element of it, then it should be a really good ride. I assume it's opening next year, because obviously this year they're getting Splash Lagoon. But either way, I cannot wait for this brand new dark ride to open at Paultons Park in the near future. So that is it for this week's episode of Coast News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what you'd like to see in the next video. Goodbye.